welcome back to the podcast. I'm the host, Sean Boyce. I'd like to welcome my guests to the show today, Tim and Michael, who are the co-founders of Latte. Hey, gents, welcome to the show.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to talk more about Latte. But before we do that, if you wouldn't mind, can you share a little bit more about each of your respective backgrounds and how you got to where you are today?
Cool. Yeah. I'll kick it off. So I'm Michael. My background as a founder is very much in the social media space. So back when I was at school, I was building social media communities, mainly on Twitter. Had some success, grew on to 140,000 followers. This then led to me joining the founding team of Social Chain. So what we did at Social Chain was pull people from all around the country who had these big social media pages, which back in 2014 was very few people. And we kind of teamed up to essentially go viral on Twitter. So what we would do is we would have all of our accounts with millions of followers across multiple different verticals, and then we would work with the brand, and they would pay us to promote their product. And what we'd do is we'd all post about this product at the same time, and then we'd all retweet each other. We'd create we'd post it from our own platforms as well, and essentially we created these things called a thunderclap, which meant that anything we wanted to talk about would go viral instantly and trend on Twitter. So that was kind of like my real start into the founder world. I then went on to build a student-focused media publisher. I grew this to 11 million followers, 10 million on Facebook, 1 million on Instagram. We were doing billions of video views every single year on social. Kind of crazy. Hired a team, went from being like a social media page to a global media brand, had videographers, editors, had an editorial site. We were doing 3 million monthly visitors on the editorial site as well. So that was this whole social media kind of time of my life. And then I decided to transition completely and go into the engineering, the tech world. So I self-taught as an engineer, main focus on iOS apps, released loads of different iOS apps. The main one that gained traction was a mental health app for Gen Z. This grew to 10,000 users. We were revenue generating. This was a kind of my real first taste of like being a founder in the social media space, and having social media pages is one thing, but being a tech founder is a completely different story. It's the challenges are the excitement is much higher, but at the same time the challenges are like much more amplified.
Yeah, bigger, right?
yeah. But I love kind of like the space, and that's kind of like what Tim and I are doing now is combining social media with tech. So yeah.
Very cool. Thank you, Michael. Tim, how about on your end?
So I'm Tim. I am a self-taught AI/ML engineer who also used to be a corporate lawyer. So I graduated from law school back in 2017, I believe. I was a corporate lawyer for 2 years, during which I didn't actually do much law. Instead, I spent most of my time teaching myself how to program, especially on the machine learning side. So that has been my primary focus for around 3.5 years now. And after I quit my job as a lawyer, I actually tried my hand at starting a legal tech startup. I was trying to solve a problem that I encountered every single day as a lawyer, which was trying to find really accurate documents that match whatever I was trying to look for. So essentially, I built a legal tech search engine with the then state-of-the-art techniques in neural search and information retrieval. That did not take off. It was very difficult to align the incentives of the partner levels at the law firm with the incentives of the associates who are the one who are supposed to use the software. Less time doesn't necessarily equal better for law firms. That's all I'm going to say. But after that, I joined Entrepreneur First, which is a pre-seed accelerator, pre-seed incubator of sorts. It's kind of like a co-founder matching program. You go in without an idea, without a co-founder, and that's where Michael and I met, and that's where we started the journey of Latte.
Very cool. Thank you, Tim. Sounds like you both have great experience that has probably led to what's helped you in terms of the success you've had with Latte so far, which is where I'd like to go next. Tell us a little bit more about what Latte is, who it's for, what it does. I'd also like to know where the name came from. So wherever you want to
go. Tim, do you want to go for what Latte is, and then I'll go through the name after?
So the current version of Latte is you can kind of think about it as a highlight extraction engine for video content. So you can put in a piece of video, maybe upload an MP4 file or paste in a YouTube link, and it could be anywhere from 10 minutes to 4 hours even. And we would give you automatically the 10 parts which we think are the most engaging and captivating parts of your video. And then we turn that into verticalized, reformatted clips, perfect for posting on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, as well as Instagram Reels. We also add subtitles for you, which are accurate to the word level. So essentially, you can go from one long video to 10 postable clips on all your socials. And that is the current version of Latte.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe talk a bit more about where we're going later on in the podcast, because we've kind of got big plans to kind of go from where we are now to where we're going. And in terms of the name, so this was a process that we're quite proud of internally. It was essentially something we came up with, and so we gave each other 3 days, and we both had to come up with 30 names for the company in that 3 days. Well, we couldn't communicate. Well, we could communicate in general sense, but we couldn't kind of share any ideas about the names with each other. And then we regrouped. We put them all into a Notion document, and then we had 5 minutes where we could both choose our top 5 of each other. So I chose my favorite of Tim's, and I chose my favorite of mine as well. Tim did the same, and then we copy and pasted them at the exact same time into the Notion document. And so then basically what we had was an overlap. I think it was about 7 names that we'd both chosen. So we knew these were kind of like our top 7, but then we kind of went more down a scientific route. So as well as just liking the name, we want to make sure that it's going to be like, are there other startups called this? Are there is there much competition within this in our specific field? What domain can we get is another big one. And then also there was the final layer, which was asking AI. So we actually then, once we had kind of like 3 left, we then asked AI to describe which one would be the best company name. So very much true to our whole within the company is AI first everything. And yeah, so that's how it came about.
That's great. What a cool story. Awesome. How about the elements in terms of, so I'd love to learn a little bit more in terms of where you came up with the idea for lattes, and, how did you uncover this as a problem worth solving? And then also who it's for, like who is this product for so far?
Yeah, I mean, so where we're at with Latte is nowhere near where we started. So obviously I've got my background in social media. Tim has his in AI. So we knew we wanted to do something at the intersection of these 2 ideas, but we just didn't know where to start. And so the best way we could do this is going to speak to potential customers. So we spoke to about 60 people over the course of 3 weeks in social media, marketing, freelancers, creators, anybody who would speak to us essentially, and try to gather insights. And one thing that came up a lot was Twitter and LinkedIn personal branding content. And so we knew that this was a problem that people are having right now. Personal branding is such a key part of marketing now, and people just don't have the time to do it. They don't really know where to start. They don't have ideas. And so we initially solved this problem by creating a WhatsApp-based chatbot. So this was essentially, you just tap one link, it automatically opens WhatsApp, you're chatting to Latte, and then it just guides you through the process. So it'll say, like, welcome to Latte, what kind of post would you like to create today? And then there's just a few options. So we really kind of constrained it based on what we know. We essentially categorized it by what we know does well on social. So is it like a product announcement, a product update? Is it some exciting news? Is it some insight? Or is it like a recent memory? So we'd find these 4 categories kind of like the key, 4 of the most important posts to post on Twitter and LinkedIn. So then it essentially guides you through the process. So you click what type of post you want, you click which platform you want to go on, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn, and then we'll generate the post to you. And it's all done within this WhatsApp chatbot. We launched it to a lot of success. We had 70 people signed up, I think it was, on the first day using the product. But then we had like our first existential threat as a company, which was 2 weeks later, ChatGPT launched. And so we essentially, there was definitely a point of kind of like trying to push through it, where we're like, it's okay, like we have differentiation, but about a week, I don't know, what was the time frame from like, I can't remember, from seeing ChatGPT and then eventually realizing that we have to, I can't remember like the difference in that time frame, but yeah.
I think we both had sort of a horrible feeling in our gut that something is about to go wrong. And, we're much better at acting on these hunches nowadays. But maybe back then it took us 2 weeks to realize, okay, this is not the direction we want to go against directly. So we went back to the customers, trawled through all of our documents of what we, all the conversations we've had, as well as like did a fresh round of customer development, talking to users, talking to people. And then we uncovered another problem, which is also in the social media space, which is, short form video repurposing. And, podcasts are quite, it's quite a good marketing channel these days. And the best way to promote podcasts, possibly one of them, is to create these short, engaging snippets to post on multiple social media accounts. So that's where this current version of Latte came from. But we've since realized that, there is a lot of problem with video itself, like video content itself. And there's a lot more to be solved along multiple axes. At different scales for different customer groups as well. So yeah, we're going to be solving a lot more of those coming soon.
Sounds it. Yeah, there's a lot here to unpack in addition to, so number one, it sounds like you have luck similar to mine in that you just found a good problem, did the research, and then pretty much right away, world changes very quickly based on ChatGPT and things like that. But a couple of things I would definitely commend you on your efforts thus far is like the work you did initially to do the research to find the problem worth solving was great. And you were making good traction there. Also responded well to like threat of new entrants, kind of competitive perspective there, as in when, the open AI language models started to reach widespread adoption, probably to your point, and I would probably agree with that approach as well too, makes more sense to reevaluate. Do we want to continue to pursue this given how, other options have changed at the moment? But then didn't, no immediate panic or anything like that. I mean, sure, I'm sure there was at least some initial basically moments where you're like, oh, now what? But go back to what you had did initially in order to find another problem worth solving. Same cohort, more interviews, that type of thing. That process I've seen work really well for a lot of folks, and you found potentially even bigger opportunity having gone back and done that now, and then essentially kind of made it into what it is today, which is, that's pretty much a great way in terms of how to respond there and figure out how to move forward, given, changes that just happen from time to time. So I'm curious to get your perspective both on, being where you are now. Love to learn a little bit more, of course, in terms of what the traction has looked like for the current version of the Latte, performance and all those types of things. But would you have done anything differently that you've done thus far, or do you think that was the right move?
I think Tim kind of touched on it, but I think we would definitely have moved a lot quicker. I think it was like that crazy thought where we're like, oh, but we're 5 weeks into this now. It's too late to change, and like having that resistance when the 5 weeks is like literally the smallest amount of time possible in a startup. And also what you can achieve in another 5 weeks can be like insane. So I think in hindsight, we definitely would have moved quicker. Like we still released new features for the current product. We even launched an iOS app after all this came out. And I definitely think we were too attached to the concept. But we've since learned from them. There's more existential threats happening all the time, and we're really trying to think more long term. And also and then observing the market, which is moving at insane pace. Like the speed of AI is just kind of unimaginable. So I think we have to be even more on top of this than a lot of other founders working in different industries, because they have more time to kind of make these decisions. But we really just have to, like, when we sense something, we have to really, like, immediately we'll chat, we'll think, like, what does this mean? Do we have to change direction? What how do we respond here? So yeah, I wouldn't say we did badly, but I think we've already learned a really good lesson in terms of like observing the trends and acting quickly.
Very good. Yeah, that's great and agreed. So talk to us a little bit about what traction has been like so far. So since the new version of Latte has become available, what does adoption look like? What does usage look like? Are you generating revenue? What does that progress look like? Talk to us a little bit about that kind of progress.
Yeah, Tim, do you want to go ahead?
So when we first launched the very first version of Latte, Latte Video, which is our existing product, this was back in early January, and on our very first day we had 70 signups or 90, and all the servers were failing, so we had to immediately patch a bunch of stuff just to handle the load. And since then we've grown our user base to over 1,400 users, and we a significant proportion of them are paying as well. We're currently at 3,400 monthly recurring revenue, and we used to be able to grow at a pace of around 30% week on week. But that number will likely be more difficult because, of how, exponentials, they just, it's very difficult to keep up with that rate. But on a month-on-month basis, we're still doing very well. In terms of usage and retention rates, we have noticed that for a specific group of customers, they have pretty much never churned, and their usage rates are quite positive. So how we measure usage by seeing how many videos they upload over the course of a week or a month, as well as looking at how many videos they actually download, which essentially is a signal for how good a video outputted by Latte is. So I think for every video we do, for every video we process, the average amount of videos downloaded from that video would be around 3 clips. I know I said the word video a lot of times, but in terms of that, we think, out of that, let's say the 10 clips we provide to our users by default, at least 3 of them are just like directly postable on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts. And that number is very likely to just like keep going up as our algorithm gets more and more mature and more sophisticated. Yeah, don't know if you have anything else to add, Michael.
Yeah, I think now in terms of weekly active users, we're about 75% of all paying customers are using the product every week. So this is a very important metric to us. But I think, yeah, Tim touched on this also in terms of like a specific segment. And so the segment which isn't churning is marketing teams. So when we launched, and what is the very obvious thing to think is that this is a product for creators, because when you think of content and video content, you think of creators. But what we realized is that these don't necessarily make like the best customers for us, because we are not necessarily a cheap product. We offer a lot of value, and we also have high costs on our end, because there's so much processing, there's so many different layers. We have our own GPUs, we have multiple different kind of API layers, and then we have GPUs for different tasks as well. So it all adds up. And so because of this, we're not kind of like a £5 subscription. We're a $20 minimum subscription, which is kind of above the threshold of a lot of creators, especially when it's hard for them to, there's not like an immediate, they're not going to post one video, they're not going to use Latte, post one video, and then suddenly they're viral on social. They have to do it consistently over the period of weeks and months and years. And this is something that's quite hard for most creators. For the majority of creators who are just doing it for fun and just doing it as a hobby, they're just doing it for the passion. They don't really want to turn it into a job, and by subscribing to software that they have to pay for, that it all becomes kind of just not aligned with why they're doing it. So this is why we're shifting towards marketing teams. and then really focusing on how can we solve the full picture for marketing teams. Because once you go into teams, there's the creation's not the only part that matters. There's also the collaboration, the storage, the distribution, the analytics, and it becomes a much more complicated problem, but it also means that we can offer a lot more value to our customers as well.
Fantastic. A super exciting journey thus far. Checking a lot of the boxes that I think a lot of people want to when they think of creating their own startup, which is cool and exciting. And I know, Michael, this is a big part of your background as well, too, in terms of social media activity, getting a lot of that growth, which element is really important, especially in the early stages of a startup. I'm curious, because I imagine the audience has these questions as well, too, is what, if anything, did you do to get that many users onto your platform that early, that quickly, and then grow from there? Like how have you enabled that thus far? Any particular tactics or strategies that worked really well for you?
So in terms of kind of my previous experience in social media and building communities, or with Latte itself?
I would say in terms of what has enabled you to grow so quickly, or grow the Latte user base and customer base so quickly. So like that first day or when you launched, how did you get, I think it was like 70 or something you may have mentioned, Tim, in terms of folks that used it on the first day. And then how did you grow from there to the hundreds, to the thousands so quickly? It sounds like that happened in short succession. Like, was that all organic, or, how did you get the first wave? And then what have you invested in to kind of grow acquiring users and then converting those to customers from there?
Yeah, for sure. So it's really rooted in kind of the Latte origin story, I guess, because the first problem we were solving was personal branding on Twitter and LinkedIn. And so we thought the best way to market this product is by embodying the product. And so every single post we did, we created with Latte itself. And so we stuck to this, and we made a hashtag made with Latte. And then we teased the product before it was launched. We started to hint towards things. And then when it was out, we were posting about it. We were creating posts about Latte that were made with Latte, making sure that people knew. We were doing demos of us literally creating the post that they're reading. They're watching it being created through the WhatsApp. And so it was really kind of embodying the product. And so we built, I guess, kind of a following of people who were engaged in what we were doing, because we were so consistent, and people were like checking in to see what was happening. So we definitely had quite an engaged following, even though our followings are fairly small, like 4,000, 3,000 followers, like connections/followers on LinkedIn. We made this into quite an engaged pool. So when we posted, and then a big thing for us was kind of having these launches. So we're always like launching. It's like, this is a big Latte launch, and we'd create a demo video, and just kind of really help people see it immediately, really help them see that magic moment immediately. And then also, I think a big thing was in the early days was easy onboarding. So with Latte WhatsApp, you just tap one button and you're in straight away. With Latte Video, it was just click the website, 2 clicks, and then you can have your videos. So it was really, in the early stage, keeping it open so that people can test it and people can use it and get to that magic moment quickly. As we've grown, we don't have to do that so much. And we have like our onboarding is still very easy, but it's not as kind of like you have to sign up now. You can't just kind of go in and use it.
Yep.
But I think it's so important in the early days that you don't want to kind of create these barriers. You just want people to use it quickly, see what it's about, and then that starts to lead to word of mouth, and people start telling people about it. Then we've also done some TikTok advertising. So creating several videos on TikTok. One of them gained 30,000 views in the space of a week. And then this resulted in a spike of 700 users in a week, which is very exciting. But it led to a lot of kind of problems. People found out about the product who didn't have the best intentions, and they started essentially manipulating the product. They found some vulnerabilities in our system, and basically they were getting unlimited videos for free. So we had to act quickly on that. We had a very large cloud bill following that week. And so, yeah, we've now, so that's also been a factor. So yeah, there was, we could have kept it open. We could have kept pushing these TikTok ads and gained loads of users, but users is not our focus. We're focused on revenue. Will people pay for this? There's a huge difference. And so we didn't want to just chase these vanity metrics, which is so easy to do. I think especially as a first-time founder, in my last startup, I very much chased that. It's like, how many users can we get? Because then we can sell this vision that we're going to gain all these users, and then we're going to figure out a way to monetize it. But we wanted to, what we've realized from our previous founder experience and what's the proper way to build a company is, don't kid yourself, like focus on the key metric, which is revenue, and are people going to pay for it now? So that's been like fundamental to kind of our.
Yeah, that's an astute observation, I would say, for sure. I've been there so many times with others as well, too, that I've helped, and oftentimes need to try to get back to basics as much as possible, because in the end, what we're really trying to do here is not grow something just to grow it, right? We're trying to create a healthy business, right? Which should come with revenue and profitability and all the things that a healthy business should have. So I think that's really important to underscore that fact, because oftentimes it's not focused on as much as it should be. A lot of folks are going after this kind of what I refer to as the unicorn approach, trying to just grow big. And, there's a whole subset that wants to do things that way. I don't largely understand it or feel anyone should, because the numbers are just abysmal in terms of actually being able to achieve success that way. I love the approach that you guys are taking thus far, and basically, following where is there opportunity to generate customers that are going to get value, that are going to receive a return, that you can also generate proceeds from and build a healthy business into it. So I think that's all exciting. And I've also used the product as well, too, which I'll share for the users as well, too. And the product is fantastic. I think the output is excellent. The experience was fantastic as well. Also, give you a lot of points for, Michael, as you were describing kind of the early stage version of getting immediately into the product. It was very seamless, very easy to kind of get into and actually experience it. As you mentioned, kind of the magic moment and that aha moment. I think that's an important element for folks, that oftentimes when people are creating startups, especially on the software and tech side, try to add too much to the experience, and that can convolute or actually get in the way of your users having that moment. And that's really what it's all about, because once they do, that creates the virality that, sets off light bulbs in their head about being able to use it, that enables them to develop it in terms of habit and all these kind of beneficial things for everybody involved. So I think that's a really great strategy as well. Also, it's like, make sure you're focused on the objective at that step, right? Don't try not to do too many all at once. And then once you get the data you need to confirm whether or not you're able to move past that, that's when you can prepare kind of for the next one from there, which is kind of where I was going to go next. You've alluded to this a little bit thus far, but I'm curious to learn more about what plans you have in terms of where you take Latte from here. What's on the menu? What's on the roadmap? Like, what are you thinking in terms of the product? Are you thinking any additional pivots or functionality? Curious to learn more.
I think a special property of early stage tech startups is that you're always kind of rehoning your focus at every step of the way. You always receive new information from different stakeholders, different parties, different customer bases, and you just have to try to make the best decision you can in light of imperfect information, which is why we are going to laser focus on, let's say, marketing departments and really try to understand the full scale of their problems with video management, with video creation. And we're going to build the tech that enables them to become essentially superhumans, super departments, like AI augmented marketing departments to do video marketing, essentially. Sometimes, a lot of the time, we would think we have a long-term vision, which is extremely important, but we do recognize that sometimes the vision may have to change in light of what we find out about our customers. And well, not change in massive ways, but slight adjustments would be needed. So we're going to essentially let the customers pull the product out of us to solve maybe, let's say, their two most painful or three most painful problems first, and then just do that. Just launch a quick and dirty MVP, or since we already have a product out, just launch additional features that may not be perfect, but just to prove out the hypothesis that this is something that is actually adding value to our customers. So in terms of the long term, we envision a world where video editing technology will enable anybody to become a video editor. Anybody, regardless of experience, regardless of software expertise, they would be able to create compelling videos from raw footage. We think that this ability will enable marketing departments to be able to churn out extremely high value, high quality content as well. At the end of the day, it's about, their ultimate, the ultimate goal they want is brand awareness, as well as engagement, as well as reach. And we think that, in light of these jobs to be done or goals that they have, how can we manage their process to make it easier, more seamless, and enable them to do less, do more of the work they enjoy and less of the work that they do not enjoy.
Yep. And I think kind of to the point of like, we want anybody, regardless of their experience in video, to be able to create videos. Is kind of like what Canva did for design. So Canva enabled any kind of team, any marketing team, or any founder to create good design, because they've built it in such a way that you don't need the experience. You just need to know what you want, and then the software does it for you. And so we're taking this to the next level. It's now possible because there's existing products which enable anybody to create videos, but they're based on templates. They're very bad. They're very static. They're very stock imagery, and there's no kind of life to them. And so we're enabling this with actually good content and actually engaging content.
Fantastic. Love the vision and excited to kind of watch it materialize. Thank you both for being here and sharing your story. I know it's really helpful for others that are trying to go through the process as well. Also, we're excited to see where it goes from here, and hopefully we can do some update episodes as well too, as you continue to kind of grow and develop. Let us know if there's anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up this episode. And then beyond that, love for you both to share more about where our listeners can go to learn more or experience the product and connect with either or both of you.
Cool. Anything we missed, Tim? I think that was the majority. Yeah, I think we'd love to hear from anybody who's kind of interested in the space in terms of working in it. We're going to be hiring very soon as well. So like looking for the most talented engineers who've got experience working with the new era of AI, but ideally can work along across the full stack. We're very an engineering focused company. Like engineering is like kind of the DNA of what we do. Very much focused on tech, being at the forefront of the tech and shipping very quickly. So if that's something you're interested in, we'd definitely love to talk to you. And in terms of where you can find us, we are on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, our personals, Latte Social, and then also our website is latte.social.
Yeah, and as for any heads of content, heads of marketing who are out there, if you're experiencing some pain related to video production, video management, or even video distribution, feel free to reach out to you. We'd love to, listen to your feedback, understand your specific problem, and hopefully to build something for you.
Very good. Thank you, Michael and Tim. I appreciate you both being here.
Thanks a lot, Sean. Great to be here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Product Launch. I hope you got value out of it. I like to feature product people on my podcast because that's who I love to help. I'm a product strategist, and I can help you scale your business and grow your profit through a product. If you'd like to learn more about how I can help you, email me at sean@nextstep.io. That's Sean, SEAN, at nextstep.io. Or visit my website at nextstep.io. That's nxtstep.io.